Awesome. All right. So I kind of wanted to jump on here for numerous reasons, but one being I've been asked all weekend, like, what was your highlight of the weekend and what was a big outtake out of this whole weekend? And it actually, there are so many great moments, so many great highlights, but there was one specifically that I was not really prepared for. To receive this huge wave of emotions, and it started Friday, so we got there Wednesday and then it was pretty chill. We got to do some media stuff and meet a lot of the people and the fans that were coming in and out of the hotel and the venue. We got to check the expo, and on Friday morning I was asked to do a panel, so I was put up on a stage right after Brian and just kind of talk about my story, talk about the struggles that I've faced, not only on this prep, but as an athlete, and what it is to be a strong, or a woman in a strong man sport. It says right in the name, like, I'm an athlete and strong man, and I'm a woman. So this right away was such an image that it's really hard to positively take in your life when you're in such a dominant male sport. And after that panel on Friday, I got to emotionally get so caught up, I guess, or just so involved in everyone that was touched by my story, my background. And first, I just want to say thank you all for encouraging me and being so positive about me talking the truth and my own history. But a little background, so I've always been an athlete that was in a male dominant sport. I played 25 years of hockey, and it was like growing up, you don't feel like you don't belong, or you don't feel like you're an outskirt person. You're always, I was busy being the best hockey athlete that I could be. My dad and my mom were so encouraging of that, not knowing there might have been any mental problems or any issues, emotional issues that would come with a woman in, again, such a male dominant sport. And making that transition over to strongman was no different. It was already, the name of our sport has man in it, and a lot of people say women should not lift weight or should not have muscles. Like, those are all things that are such an old mindset, and it is really cool to be part of that barrier that we're breaking, because women are as powerful and we can do absolutely everything that we put our minds to. Doesn't matter if I don't have to satisfy 100% of the humans on this planet. If I am satisfying my own self and the people around me, I think that is way more than enough. We only have this one life, that if you don't truly do something for yourself and something that inspires you daily, then life can be very hard living it. So it's been such a blessing to be able to talk to the moms and dad and talk to teens. There's a handful of teens this weekend that came up to me, and 16, 15 years old, where I would have loved to have this person inspired me back then, saying, like, being such a small percentage in a very dominant male territory, what does it entail? How do you feel? How do you go about it? And it comes about breaking barriers, and I'm not sure when that turned around for me, and I don't have a full, time in my life where I was like, I'm going to make a difference into breaking barriers, but I feel like I am, and I'm feeling like I am now fulfilling more of a desire of growing our sport and growing the mentality of strong women. And when I say strong women, it's not just specifically for our sport. I'm talking about any general strength training sport. So it can be bodybuilding, it can be weightlifting, it could be literally just walking into a gym and feeling better. The iron has done that for me. I only got introduced to a barbell super late in my life, but it's blessed me because I think it's never too late. It's made me the strong woman I am today, but it's also helped me deal with the athlete I was in hockey. And it's helped me just break the person that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know I was lost. I got into some very dark emotional time between hockey and finding a gym. I was a 911 operator. As you guys know, it can be very hard on your mental health. And so all these things that were thrown at me as such a young adult, I'm looking back, you don't know every day like how this day is going to affect who I am becoming. But if I can inspire one person or a handful or hundreds of people to take that leap of faith, know that working on yourself in the gym, and it doesn't have to be in the gym specifically, but it could be about moving your body, make yourself stronger mentally and physically. Like every time I talk, it's like it's not just physically and looking the part, it's about, it all comes down to mental health. You can be as strong as you want physically, but if mentally you're not drilled in and you're not ready to face your adversity, your everything that's thrown at you daily, like you will break and you will fall. And the barbell has literally spoken to me and has enlightened this person in me where if you think you can do anything in the world, that is a huge possibility that you can. Taking on, a federation here in Canada and being the first female athletes on such a big brand with Brian Shaw, and just breaking barriers, being the first of many Arnold Classic woman competitor. These are all barriers that we're breaking as a group of female for the next generation that's up and coming. But I was also told last weekend that I like to inspire the young generation, but we're also inspiring the older ones, the moms, the grandma, the ones that it's never too late to finally take in charge of your life, take in charge of movement, take in charge of being strong. And I'm excited to be part of the voice for women's in what's to come. There is so many great females athletes out there that are just like me, and you take it in. Make sure you listen to us. You're not alone. If you're going through mental health issues, if you're going through abuse in relationship, it could be PTSD, like we've all gone through so much. And the second you start feeling empowering and strong, you can face these, and you'll be able to work on these problems, and it won't fold you. You can rise. And I just wanted to really thank everyone for being so positive and so uplifting this weekend. And I've been asked so many times, like, what's your highlight? And one thing I can think of right now is, and I can't really remember their name, but there was this just great family, and I think they had like 4 or 5 younger kids, and the oldest must have been like 12. And they had toddlers, like a 3, 5, 7-year-old. And I remember during the fire drill, we had a fire alarm Saturday night. We all went outside, and the 3-year-old little boy came behind me and hugged my leg, and he was like, you could tell like I inspired him in some way for being a strong woman. And I kept having these genuine conversations with his mom and being like, you are doing something right, because he sees strong women, he sees value in females that are strong, so mom must be doing something, and mom and dad must be doing something so great to these kids. And then he came up to me and he gave me one of those little sockets for my croc, and it was a crown, and it said Queen on it. And just those little things, from a 3-year-old all the way to these older women and men that I met this weekend. It was really cool. It was empowering, and it was something that I'm now looking forward to keep inspiring. And we stand on that podium, or we stand on that platform by ourselves, but just to let you guys know, this is really a very big team effort. It's a community effort. It takes people in the crowd yelling your name. It takes people in the gym, like making sure that you're doing your work, even though there's days that are harder than the other. It takes a team, it takes a unit, and I'm just really grateful that I'm able to thank you guys, and I'm able to continue this journey in a healthy mind, a healthy body, and yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. I'm very empowered and I'm inspired to keep working, to keep inspiring everyone around me. So I just want to thank you all for this weekend, especially for that little moment there that I had on stage, answering all your questions, you know, talking about breaking the barriers. Like real quick, like I remember this one question and I kept referring to, like I grew up, like my mom always had these fitness magazines, and it was Jillian Michaels. Jillian Michaels was one of the first women that I saw with muscles, but prior to that it was like super skinny. It was all like, it was in the era where it was like you ate spinach and chicken, or not even chicken, it was like spinach and dressing, salad dressing for you know, for 4 or 5 meals a day, and it was like you had to be this petite women to be on covers of magazine, and it was like they put out their meal plans, and I remember opening up and highlighting like, Mom, this is what we need from the grocery store. It was like spinach and just tomato, and it was just like, you know, very rabbit food, and then like their exercises was like, you know, a 45-minute walk, or like, it was just, there was nothing involving of like growing muscles, and like muscles weren't really something that was not accepted, but it just wasn't promoted. And then when I first saw Jillian Michaels on Biggest Loser, and it was like, this is so cool. There's this really strong, empowering woman, and she's got muscles, and she's coaching people to get better mentally, physically, and it kind of just spiraled from there. But it's cool that you guys now with social media, you guys can open up your phone and be inspired by stronger women, and women that won't give you bullshit and won't give you cookie cutter plans, and won't tell you to eat less because you gotta look a certain way. Yeah, I'm grateful that, you know, I think I just turned 30, and I think it's grown me into this new woman where I'm like, I'm into inspired women now, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, yeah, I just I have a couple questions about the weekend, so we can talk a little bit more, I guess, about events and my experience. This was my second Shaw Classic. Last year I placed 5th, and this year's goal was to beat it. But I also felt like I had worked so hard that I could see and envision myself standing tall. I'm not sure if it was standing on a podium, but it was just standing up as a new athlete, as a better athlete, as a grown woman athlete. I've learned the last 8 months have been the hardest, mentally the hardest 8 months of my life, with so much struggles and trying to get back home and open up our business with so many hurdles. And I think if I wouldn't have had created this really strong women in the past, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have been this great athlete last weekend in front of you guys, and I owe that to the barbell. I owe that to the community, to Brian and Carrie, to inspire me, to Max, to remind me every day that I'm doing something great and I'm doing something beautiful. And so yeah, I think standing on that podium, it didn't matter if it was 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I was just really grateful with my performance. I really did overly what I expected to do, by staying calm and enjoying the present moment. And I did beat my performance from last year by a long shot, not only by numbers, it was mostly by mentally who I was as an athlete. Last year I didn't fully enjoy it, and it was a bummer because those last 4 years, the pro men have become my brothers. They have become part of my family, and I share that prestige stage last year with them. And you know, I was crying after the comp because I had made so many mistakes and I was not taking it all in. I was just not happy. And if you scroll through my pictures of last weekend, you could tell I was such a different breed. I was enjoying the present moment. I was not getting too hard on myself, but I was in the moment. I was backstage with the boys, with the girls, and it's such a rad moment. It was just a moment of like relief of like, finally you found your better self. Keep her, because she's the best version of you, and I think my next 10, 20 years are only gonna get better, but I'm finally up on a pedestal where it's like, this is the better me, and we're not going back. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it planned out at the Shaw Classic. I got 3 or 5 top 3 finishes, so it kept me on that podium. From not finishing the grip event last year to finishing top 3 this year, and just taking all those little inconvenience during the weekend and turning them into strength and turning them into some of my best tools over the weekend, or things that I'm very grateful for, and I'll be bringing back to work here. But yeah, it was just an overall good weekend, so I'm very grateful for that. But I'm going to go through a couple quick questions. I had some really good questions that I think can help relate to other people that have been trying to I guess just get to know a little bit more about what happened this weekend, how I'm feeling. So let's start with one here. What were your favorite moments of the weekend, and how are you feeling moving forward? So that just kind of explains it. Like, favorite moments, there is so many, from standing on that platform Friday, talking to all of you guys and being so inspired by walking through the expo and just hearing your name, like, hey Sam, good luck this weekend. Like, you guys have no idea how this feels. Like, I was explaining to the boys yesterday how I played high-level hockey. I played university hockey, and I could wear the full track suit and go to the mall here, and nobody would like react that way. And like, here in a strongman community, it's like everyone is so uplifting, and they know the work we put in, and they just want the best for you. So it's so cool. And moving forward, I'm just gonna keep that Sam. I'm gonna keep the Sam in, and I'm gonna keep that great mindset, and I'm not done. I think this is kind of the first step of like my new me, and I'm just really inspired by it. So it's cool. How does your body feel after the competition? Everything looks so intense. Yeah, it was a really, really heavy show for us women. The prep was obviously so difficult, so taxing, but I don't think I could have done it without Joey and Max. We were all getting ready for the show, and we just put our head down and went to work, even though outside of the gym there were so many factors that we didn't have control on. Like, our gym's still not open. We've been here for 8 months, and we've had little to no control on that. And when I got to the gym, it was literally like work mode, and I started doing that on my phone, where you can put your phone on like do not disturb, but I would put like work, as in like I'm going to work, 2-3 hours, I'm in the gym, and that's my work. Like, I need to make sure that I'm working hard, and if I want to keep becoming that like great coach athlete, I gotta walk the talk, and that was a big thing for me through this prep. So, but yeah, it was a heavy show. The deadlift everything felt really heavy, but I had put in the work, so it really showed. It was fun. Stories from the warm-up area. Well, the only story you guys have seen is the plunger on Nick Bess's head, and we'll keep it as that. But the warm-up area is always such a good time at the Shaw Classic, because there's, well, the 16 boys and then like 16 girls and the open men. So there's a bunch of us, and we had so many Canadians. So we had like, you know, a great Canadian crowd in the back, and then we had Brian's last show, which was brought with so many emotions through the weekend, which most of them were highs, because we know Brian leaves with this amazing first title, but he's going to be around because he's going to make this show now the best, biggest contest. He's raised the standard, and it was great. I can't wait to see what's next for us. Strongman is growing, and I'm super excited to be part. Toughest and easiest part of the prep and the show. So, toughest part of the prep would have been like just the outside factors, dealing with mental health, making sure that my mind kept focused on the task. I had a task, and it was to get ready for the Shaw Classic, and I had to keep accountable to my clients. I had to fulfill Strongman Corporation Canada, Evolution Athletic Canada, and it was just like one task at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Do one. If you don't have time for it today, move on. Don't stress over it. Like, if it's not life or death, you can, it can wait. And that was a big thing for me. The easiest part was probably on those rough days where it seemed like I just didn't want to work out. Well, I would see Joey walk through, and it was like, hey, let's go. It was just our training, having the training crew that I have now, is just makes it so much more fun, so much more easier, and it's so cool. Me and Joey go back in 2017 when we did our first show in an abandoned NASCAR track, or not NASCAR, but a race track in the Goonies. There was like 5 or 6 people in the crowd, my dad being one of them, and then last weekend we were deadlifting together on the most prestigious show ever. So things like that are just so cool, and they're just so fun to know that we're doing progress, like having that path on your back where it's like you're doing something good, keep going, and things are enlightening, and it's just things like that makes it easier. Nothing's easy. We all have to work, but things can be smoother with the right people around you. Congrats, thank you. How was the altitude? Did any event surprise you the most? Colorado does have an altitude, and yes, you do feel it. This is year 4, and I could say that all 4 years I've had some sort of like oxygen problem, or I could feel the lack of oxygen. I've only been competing for 2 years, but I was working out in Colorado for the first 2 years when we were up there, or at least the second year. And the event that surprised me the most, but this year didn't surprise me as much, was the log press, because it is literally on your chest where you should get the most oxygen out of. So every time the log would get on my chest, and I knew this was gonna happen, so I wasn't as fully surprised, but it got me as an athlete, and it took me a couple seconds there to get my first rep, but it's a challenge. That's what our sport's about. That's what life's about. It's about facing these challenges moment and making the best out of it. So got her done, moved on to the axle, same thing. Axle got me and winded me, and I got it done. I knew I could do it. I knew I could move the weight, and it was positive. And then I went to the dumbbell and went till the whistle blows. So there's always going to be things that are going to be you're going to face, that are going to give you struggles, but it's how you react to them, and that makes such a big statement on who you want to become and who you are. Last year on the log, we ended up dropping the log by 20 pounds in the warm-ups, because a lot of women's, like, we were all like kind of struggling, and I still underperformed under that log. And I look back and I was so upset with how I reacted and how I was so disappointed, because again, it's how you react to these situations that make you better. Move on. There's another events. There's still another 15, 16 points up for grabs. And it's never over until the last event is fully over. So that was one of the biggest outcome for me this weekend. What is your thought process approaching an event at a show? One event at a time. So let's say we're going into sandbag to wheelbarrow. My wheelbarrow training's been on point, my sandbag training's been on point, but again, I knew I was in Colorado, different apparatus, different altitude, different crowd, the jitters are everywhere, and you could tell in that video, that event, that I was being super cautious. I'm like looking at making sure my sandbags don't fall off of the wheelbarrow, and I chopped up again because I didn't know if I could actually grab it. My grip's been one of my biggest struggles these last few comps, but But it's about keeping yourself composed and keeping yourself calm. You can only do what you can do. You know what you can do. You've done it in the gym. If you don't use fake weights, you've done it in the gym. You're able to do it, and keeping that mindset of like, I can do it. Compose yourself, keep calm, and just do the work. You can go faster than you can go fast. Like, you just have to take in your own hands what you're able to control, and it changes everything. I do get hyped up, like you'll hear me scream, and and those are just about like very excitement emotions, but I was a very calm and patient and cautious athlete this weekend. I just knew what work I needed to do, and when you get into that mindset, you get to showcase what you work for in a more calm way, and yeah, I guess that would be my thought process on that. Strongest woman on earth. I think it'd be kind of cool if Brian and Carrie would bring on the strongest woman on earth along with the strongest man on earth, but they're doing great things already. Like, I think just us having a platform and being able to share the warm-up area and having to share the platform, being in the same arena as the pro men, we have to know that Strong Woman is evolving, it's growing, but we just gotta we can't go to, like, Strong Man have been around since 1970s. They've been around for so long and they've put in the work. Now it's us ladies now to put in the work. I have no doubts we will get there. We just need to have the continuous support from everybody. We have to hear and know that men and women want to see the strong women out there on the platforms. We need to hear you guys. We need to see the support, and we'll get there. It's just a matter of time. Your performance in your final event on the sandbag toss. That was a huge accomplishment for me because I knew I could get the 35 last year, and again I was so stressed, and I don't know, like, I'm not the same athlete at all as last year. I knew I could get the 35 and I kept missing it, kept missing it, and I just got so fluttered. I kept missing the whole apparatus. I think I threw one of the bags up in the curtains, and I was such a disaster. So this year I was like, I knew what I needed to do to stay on that podium. You could tell I'm such a focused and calm athlete during that event, and I surprised myself. Like, I knew I could get at least 135, but getting both and having to share that victory with Olga, and, you know, seeing her so happy with her taking that title, like, that makes me happy. Like, it doesn't matter, again, like, what number is on your trophy or what placing you've had this weekend, but being part of this weekend is a win to begin with. Also, just throwing that out there, but we've thought about how I know Max isn't the biggest talker, but he's great. But Max and myself and Joey love to talk. If ever, like, you guys want to maybe, like, hear some podcasts, like, we have some really great people here around us. We can, you know, get some people in town to do podcasts with. There are some really great strength athletes in our area. We would like to show you guys that we're humans and we love to talk the shit, but we also like to lay down the truth of what we go through. And if you guys want to hear more, just drop below. We can always do some more like this too.
For sure.
Guys, like, if you have any other questions, like, we can do this. I can talk forever. And I like to share my story, and I like it because I didn't know how much of an impact I had on so many people before this weekend. I think Colorado, every time we go to Colorado, I get this, like, wow feeling, this wow factor where it's like we are actually inspiring people. Like, I stood up in line between Airwave and Barefoot by myself for nearly 2 hours, and I was like, I'm sorry Max isn't here, and then people are like, it's okay, we want to see you, and I'm like, well, this, like, you know, it's still pretty overwhelming and pretty new to me, but damn, if God is giving me this work or this key to keep inspiring people, I'm gonna do it. If you guys want to keep being inspired, if you guys want to keep knowing the true facts, no sugarcoat bullshit things, like, I'm human, and I've gone through stuff, and I've overcame so much. I'm just gonna keep inspiring people. So thank you guys all for listening, and if there's any other questions, drop them under here in the questions and the comments. If you liked it, just make sure you share with your people, subscribe to our channel. We're gonna keep content pumping because we generally love you guys so much, and you guys are the best. We get to do this because of you guys, and we're grateful. And until now, well, yeah, if you ain't lifting, you ain't living.